Hello everybody, Wolfpack here, and welcome to today's SimRep. This week we have some interesting game announcements that I'm genuinely excited for. One is Battleship Command, which will put you in command of Battleship Scharnhorst, and the other is some fresh news on the upcoming Falcon 5 title by Microprose. Today though, we are going to start with Battleship Command.
Englischer Konvoi gesichtet. Backbord, Zerstörer voraus. Feuerleitung, Ziel, führendes Schiff.
Jawohl, Herr Kommandant. Ziel erfasst. Geschütze bereit, Herr Kommandant.
Feuer!
This is a game that has been in development by Bracer for quite some time now. The sim will put you in command of the battleship Scharnhorst, offering an authentic simulation of gunnery and fire control systems. There is a historically accurate 3D model of the Scharnhorst battleship. The game will feature single missions and scenarios, a scenario editor, realistic damage and flooding modeling, and also dynamic weather, ocean, and lighting simulation, which is great. This is a first-person game, so you will be able to walk around the bridge and explore all of the deck, taking a look at all the good stuff that comes with commanding a capital ship. Additionally, you're able to control the nitty-gritty aspects of managing a battleship, like seeing your boilers and such, which is pretty darn cool. I am wondering how fleshed out damage control will be, and also maybe crew management in the future. Earlier this week, Microprose announced that they would be publishing the game and released a really well done trailer that is definitely worth checking out. The Steam page currently says coming soon on it, so we will see when the game actually releases. I suspect it will be a release into early access. That all being said, there's currently some pre-recorded gameplay on the Steam page, so it's pretty clear the game is in a somewhat playable state and Microprose was ready to show it off. Now, it did say there is going to be a bunch of single missions in the game. I am wondering if we will get a dynamic campaign in the future, really focused around surface raiding. I personally do think that's where a game like this could really shine, essentially being like Silent Hunter, but for surface raiders. I'd love to see more surface raiders in the game and really focus on that sort of gameplay. Looking for convoys, engaging convoys, and running whenever you see a British capital ship. I would love to command an auxiliary cruiser like the Penguin, for example, doing patrols in, the South Atlantic and the Indian Ocean and such. But I understand having a max speed of like 18 knots isn't everyone's cup of tea. Still, I think it would be quite fun. The fire control system and Battleship Command looks incredibly well done. You control, obviously, all of your turrets. You have very meticulous control over all of your guns. You can control the secondary guns, and there is also a radar scope, so radar is going to be a thing, so that'll be interesting to play around with. Regardless, very excited for Battleship Command. I know a lot of folks have always wanted a game like this. I mean, even going back to the Silent Hunter 3 days, there are numerous mods which put you in command of a capital ship or a surface raider. So this is going to fit right in that niche. If you haven't, be sure to go check out the Steam page and look at some of that gameplay. Also be sure to wishlist the game. The developer is a very passionate guy, and I am looking forward to see how this project shapes up. Now on to Falcon 5, which is back in the news again. For those that are unaware, Falcon is a long-running series of flight simulations, originally published by Microprose. In addition to that, Falcon 4 has received a lot of love by the BMS team, turning it into a game that really stands the test of time with Falcon BMS. Be sure to check that out if you haven't. With the return of Microprose, there has been a steady drip of news regarding this new generation of flight sim, and we just got a very, very interesting tease a couple days ago. In the Razbam Discord, a post appeared teasing the future dynamic campaign, and essentially confirming that Razbam is indeed working with Microprose on this next generation of flight simulation. This has been the worst kept secret ever. I don't even think they've been trying to keep it a secret, but now it's really out there. The timing is interesting though, as I'm sure many of you know. Razbam has been embroiled in drama and legal disputes with Eagle Dynamics, the developers of DCS World. Razbam's modules for DCS include the F-15E Strike Eagle, the Mirage 2000, and the MiG-19 Farmer. These modules have generally been well received over the years, and it is promising to see an experienced module developer involved with Falcon 5. At this point, I personally feel there is little hope that Razbam and ED are going to patch things up, and this announcement really solidifies that feeling for me. Now, in the Discord, Razbam Prowler did say the design phase of Falcon 5's dynamic campaign was completed this summer, and development is at full speed. The dynamic campaign is essentially the cornerstone of what makes Falcon Falcon. It is pretty much what all of these flight simmers want in a dynamic campaign, so it's good to see that the dynamic campaign is going to be a cornerstone of Falcon 5. If it wasn't, I would be shocked. That would be a big misstep if Falcon 5 did not come with a dynamic campaign. Additionally, in the Razbam Discord, there is a subsection which lists numerous aircraft with F5.0, obviously stands for Falcon 5. These aircraft include the MiG-23, MiG-29, UH-60 Blackhawk, Tornado GR-1, and the AH-1 Cobra. This is an interesting plane set, especially when we consider the early teases about Falcon 5 from way back when did say it would include a F-16 and an F-35. These teases were years ago now, and I think we all know Microprose has definitely shifted gears a little bit over the years, and some of these early development promises have changed. So I'm curious to see if we will in fact see an F-35. We're obviously going to see an F-16 considering the title of the game series is Falcon. That one is a given. But this plane set makes me curious what the theater of war is going to be. Of course, we could do GWAT, or it could go in the way of the Falcon 4.0 game, where it was like the Korean Peninsula. BMS also added the Balkans and other theaters. So lots of opportunities here, and I am very much looking forward to seeing how Falcon 5 shapes up. I briefly wanted to touch on the game Tank Squad. This is a relatively new tank simulation set during the Second World War. The game released a couple of months ago and had some pretty glaring issues. The good news is the developers seem rather diligent and are continuing to update the game, adding fixes and working on optimization. There have been numerous developments recently, and they have been working on the UI elements along with creating more content with a new campaign and adding new tanks such as the KV-1 with a cast turret and the Ferdinand. Tank Squad sits in a pretty interesting place when it comes to tank simulation. This game has a lot to it. The tanks have interiors, you can get out of your tank, there is infantry, there is repairs, there is a lot. It's honestly kind of impressive the scope that Tank Squad has. The real killer for it is it was just not polished. One area I would like to see polished a little bit more is frankly just the controls, controlling the tank, getting out of the tank, really controlling the tank from that commander point of view. Still, I'm happy to see the devs are continuing to stick with the project. This is another one of those games that just has a ton of potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it shapes up. Our last story today is about a game that is really attempting to refresh the milsim space. This game is the tactical shooter Bellum. Bellum is currently holding a closed alpha playtest, and this game looks like a real breath of fresh air in the genre that has progressively gotten more and more stale over the years. One of the major innovations, I think, for Bellum is the attrition game mode, which has two teams fighting over an area while attempting to gain superiority. And as the name suggests, attrit the enemy. Lives are limited in Bellum, which I think is fantastic. I think in these tactical shooters, the players need more incentive to stay alive and to not just run up and get shot respawn and do the same thing, like that Hell Let Loose gameplay loop. Frankly, I think a lot of these tactical shooters, they try to incentivize teamwork, but Bellum looks like it has some mechanics that are really going to force it, which I think is fantastic. Having 3 limited lives in a match is really going to force the player to be smart, be tactical, not rush things, and really stay in a cohesive unit. This game is being headed up by Karmakut, a fellow content creator and definitely an expert when it comes to the tactical shooter space. I am really digging what I've seen so far. Controlled Pairs has an excellent video showcasing some early footage of Bellum. Well, folks, that is going to do it for today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and comment, as it really does help out the channel. But until next time, this is Wolfpack345 signing off, and I will see you all on the next one.